This is Tirana's AcreForward, the ag industry's most thought-provoking podcast. Listen to interesting people as we go in-depth into the issues affecting crop advisors, growers, and farm communities, uncovering the truth about the ag business and using technology to prepare for the unforeseeable. Ready to explore the future? Let's dig in.
So thank you for joining the AcreForward podcast. My name is Mike DePaulo with Carstens. And as always, we're here talking to the movers and shakers in the industry that legitimately are putting forth the effort to move the acre forward. And when I think about people that do that, the changes that are happening in industry, there's a company that stands out really often in a lot of categories, and that's Landus. Landus in Iowa and beyond. I'll let this gentleman here tell the story, but I'm pleased to be joined here with Matt Carstens, President and CEO of Landus in Iowa. And Matt, just want to say hello. Thank you for joining. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found your way into the role there at Landus and what you're doing these days.
Yeah, well, first off, Mike, thanks for the opportunity, and we love our relationship with Tyrannus, and this is just an extra opportunity that's great to have. You know what? I joined Landus here now 3.5 years ago, roughly, and I came back to Iowa from doing different things with other companies for a couple of reasons. One is, my family loved it here in Iowa, and they were here, and I was traveling all over the U.S. and other parts of the globe too, and decided that needed to change, and making that change with a co-op that's deep in my family's tradition. This is our local co-op. My father served on the board for over 30 years. I had a cousin that farms with my father and his dad and others that was vice chair of the board up until my arrival here. So there's a lot of heritage we have with this co-op. But the thing that really most excited me coming back to this was the opportunity to, as I've seen over the last 25 years in my time in agriculture on the business side, was really that retail's got such a powerful opportunity to really win. And you see that today in other industries, whether you're looking at Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards, that market. You see it in the grocery chains. You see it in Amazon. And these are major retailers that have all facets of the business from IT and HR to great sales and marketing and powerful sales and marketing and on down the line. And I was like, there's no better place to do that than a retailer that's owned by the farmer, which is obviously the cooperative world and what we deal with. And, this cooperative had just been formed a few years prior to my arrival. And we felt like there was a great way, my family and I, to come back and really make a difference. And I say that because most of your audience knows and reads about, what's going on at Landus from what's out there. But what I've never really shared is how deeply involved my family is. A lot of our employees' families or friends are involved. And I think that's just so powerful. Although most companies shy away from that, we go the other way. We're like, in rural, you got to hire friends and family. There's really not a choice. And I think in the business world, it's helped a lot. And my wife, our kids, our friends have been so instrumental in being a part of this journey, and the friends we've made being here. That's the part that people really don't know and nobody ever asks about. And I just thought I'd put it out there for the first time on your podcast because of our relationship and really answer your question. What makes us different is it's way bigger than myself or our board or our ELT. It's about family and friends and farmers that own this company that are coming together to do something really special. Yes, there's different visions and different contributors to that vision, Mike, but it's a journey we're on that I think when people look back, 10, 15 years from now, they'll really see this transformation. And I believe rising tide raises all ships. And it isn't just Landus. There's other regionals and independents, nationals that are doing great things. And at the end, the market at ag retail will find its right fit in serving that farmer. And I assure you, if we don't, the farmer will find it on their own.
Absolutely.
So let's figure it out.
No, absolutely. I get, I look at Landus is very interesting. And I've heard you speak at many of your events, the Innovation Connector, things that you've had. And one thing stands out that you said is it's about different things. You know, co-ops have existed, retail exists in other businesses. It's special in agriculture because there's not a lot of people who can do this, that live in the area, that have the knowledge. That's been a harder task, just as things have changed in our country. But what's neat about Landus and the people that you're leading and the groups that you work with, and it shows every day. We have a very similar philosophy, obviously, at Tyrannus, but you said something interesting, whether it was healthcare, other needs that farmers have. If not us, who? And you're standing in that. I haven't forgotten that. I like to think we think very similarly, because if not us, who's going to stand up and advocate and not only tell the story, but write the story and write the future so we can continue to do this. Talk a little bit about your vision at Landus and how you've gotten a group of people and this group of farmers to go down that road, because I'm not sure I've heard this in many other places, Matt. When I think about what co-ops and retailers do, it seems like you've taken a broader approach to it. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. And I'll simplify it, Mike, to say that we really went back to the core of what co-ops were started for, right? They were to do for the farmer what the farmer couldn't do on their own. It's really that simple. And yes, back 50, 80, 100 years ago, whatever, it was about pooling and getting more buying power or market movement. And absolutely. And at the core of what all ag retail does, whether it's grain, agronomy, energy, doesn't matter, that is there. It's just particularly in the cooperative side, what I've noticed, and it's beyond the cooperative side, and it's in other industries. The core isn't going to get you to tomorrow. The core got us through these last 100 years or 50 years, whatever you want to call it. And it's been a great ride. But today, that farmer's needs are changing right in front of our eyes through innovation and technology, and what we can do with drones, like what you all do, and how we can scout differently and use data and AI to completely change how a farmer farms more successfully, more profitably, more of an eye towards the environment. And although farmers, in my mind, are the original conservationists, there's still ways that we can improve with more data and more AI and intelligence around that. So, that's really when you hear me speak about it, it was very clear when several of our farmers, and I want to just say, not every farmer agrees with the direction we're going. So for those that are listening that go, I think Matt is X and I'm not a big fan of what he's doing at Landus. I get it. We are an acquired taste that, are really more built around the farmers that are seeing that journey from the farm to the consumer. And that is not an easy path. And to sit there and let's just talk about how we keep every location open and how we keep the core and be just as good at the core only as we can, that's just not this cooperative or ag retailer. There's plenty of other options for them to go just really focus in on the core. We've got to be bigger than that. And our sales and profitability show it, and that, people ask, well, mostly farmers that may be a little upset with me, not our company as much as they are at me. And, they ask what's the biggest driver of how I evaluate our success. And it's really easy. I don't care what business it is, co-op, publicly traded, privately held. It doesn't matter. There is one easy answer. Tell me how the P&L's moving. How is the trajectory? How is the growth? And that doesn't mean you have to make money hand over fist. It just means, is it profitable? Are you hitting ratios that your bank, that your membership or owners can rely on and feel good about? And that's where we're at. So that back to your point, this is all about the farmer. Although it's an acquired taste, some farmers, maybe don't think we should be in health insurance. That's okay. They don't have to take advantage of that, or they can go do business at another place of business. I get that. But when we're meeting as a team with some of our families, talking with them and their families, and health insurance is the number one thing out of their mouth every single time, clearly there's an issue. And I as you've heard me say, Mike, I'm appalled to tell you and your listeners, I had no idea what they were paying. I had no idea it was an issue. So I don't know what rock I was sleeping under. Again, we've got some farmers that think there's a lot of rocks I sleep under, but we're taking an aggressive approach and finding the solution that we can legally implement due to a lot of complexity in the insurance world. And we'll get through it. And if we can't solve it, we owe our farmers an explanation of why, no matter what that is. I do believe the health insurance will be an offer that we'll be rolling out here very, very shortly. But if we can't solve something, we need to come back and explain why and see if there's another path. Because again, to your point, if we can't do it, then who? Who can they count on? They can talk about being a member of an organization or something. Here at a co-op, they own this company. It's not membership, although we get those words confused. This is ownership. They own this company. And we have an obligation to serve them and get them into the future if they agree and see the vision of what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely just powerful, is using the resources. We're a smaller group by number than we would have been, in the world. We're farming more acres with less. So we need to be smarter about how we bring those resources together and advocate for ourselves, for our livelihood, for our future, because the country, the nation, the world depends on these outputs and that they're done right. And farming is not easy. So if you're putting a lot of investment in healthcare unnecessarily, those are things that you can put back into margins on that farm, especially in a tight year, right? If we have tough weather, like name a year where we haven't had something tough, no matter what's going on. So I think it's smart to listen to your customers, Matt, and try to help them with their key problems.
Well, that's so well said. And I think about the topic of health insurance particularly. And it's not just about getting their costs down and matching up better what their needs are for health insurance, because we all know most farms and farming families, it takes a lot for them to go to the doctor. Yet they're paying some of the most that's out there, and that's not right. But the bigger thing I love about this topic is if we can get this under control, that spouse that may be better at merchandising or selling and hedging grain can come back home full time. That son or daughter can come back from college or graduation from high school and join the farm right away. That's powerful, and they shouldn't have to take jobs off farm for insurance. We are better than that as an agricultural community, as a United States of America, for the people that feed, fuel, clothe us. We got to do better, and Landus is got a lot of passion around that. Again, I'm optimistic we'll have some solutions here quickly.
No, I love it. You go across the Corn Belt, Delta South, where farming is predominant, and in the counties, the number one employer are the farmers. You put it all together, it's the farmers, and so it's just amazing. You think through the problem, and you're actually creating just enduring and sustainable prosperity, opportunity. You're finding opportunity. I will say the partnership we have, what we do with our AcreForward technology, we live in a day and age where 4 years ago, if I told you we were scouting millions of acres from the sky, where you could count the spots on a ladybug, you'd look at me, and rightly so, and say, that's crazy. But the technology has changed so quickly across a lot of disciplines, whether it's AI, whether it's energy capacity, whether it's drone optics, or our industry itself. There's so many things that have converged to the point where growers working with Landus today can have Ring doorbell for their farm or FaceTime their fields. And I say that's just a way to understand it. But the reality is game tape for the acre. So we've gone away from the past of just this is what the equipment says it did. We've got lots to manage. And now we really understand what's happening from the very beginning of that crop and all the threats, pathogens, severity. And what's neat for me is the more of this we do in working with groups like you in particular is we start to understand this actually changes what I'm going to do for next year. It's a new science. It's a new understanding. So just like moving that insurance block out of the way or picking those big rocks out of the field so you can be efficient, there's lots of little rocks and big rocks you can find because success is the sum of the details. And I'm just curious, how you look at even something like what we're doing and you see it not only as tech and AI, but something that creates engagement and opportunity so your people can be better. What do you think about what your company's doing with the AcreForward technology and how does that change the future for Landus and its owners, if you will?
Yeah, the best example or way to answer that, Mike, would be to talk about a meeting we had with Sarah, who's on your team, and
Yes,
several
Sarah Betzel.
companies, yep, that joined me for this discussion of, here's where we're at today. We can fly drones, tell weeds, scout it, tell where the rocks are, pick it with the TerraClear, all that stuff. But that's not good enough, right? And that's what I love about Taranis is you're sitting at that table with us talking about, okay, what is it 3 years from now? What is it 5 years from now? What is it 10 years from now? We're talking to each other about, can satellites do more? Where's NASA at on this topic? And we've actually reached out to NASA, and they're making a trip to Des Moines, Iowa to visit with us. So what I really love about Taranis and AcreForward is, in the end, this isn't enough. This is the starting point of something big. And we together, our two companies, Taranis and Landus, have to lean into this for the farmer to be able to see what's coming next and alter his or her equipment purchases, their land purchases, the kind of land, the kind of livestock. There's so much that they've got to be taken into account that, to your point, who would have thought we're doing today, 3 years ago? And I think if you would have said that, most people would have laughed and said, yeah, I've heard this story before. And here you are. You're doing it. You're living it every day. And you see this in everyday life. I mean, Amazon knows when my family's out of water before we know we're out of bottled water.
Yeah, that's funny.
Right? I mean, that's a really simple thing, but are we doing that in agriculture? No, we can do better. And we need to keep building upon. Let's not just sit there and think about where we're at. Think about how we perfect that, how we can take leaps and bounds forward and really drive change in a way that farmers have never experienced. And I'm just so pleased with what you're all doing, because I believe the battle in agriculture is from the air going forward. Particularly after planting, after maybe one post application that requires a blanket application, then the game goes to the air for scouting, for spraying spot weeds, spot pests in general, for determining where rocks are, for TerraClear to come in and pick up. And I think that's where you guys are just so far ahead of the curve, and really having that technology, looking at the next level of it. The next level is that outer space, with satellites. I don't know, but I'm just very bullish on what you all are doing. And it's our job as an ag retailer to make sure that farmer understands drones are cool, and we're going to keep making them bigger and more applicable. What if they could go out and take tissue samples and bring them back and do tissue sampling of the crops that way, instead of sending somebody through a pollen field maze? We can change this thing, and you all are leading that, in my opinion. And that's why we love our relationship, is that, like that meeting I cited with you and several others around the table. Boy, what that 4-hour meeting came up with, if we're half right, our farmers and agriculture have a lot to be excited about.
That's absolutely right. I mean, this company, we started this journey. The company started 2015 just to get the AI worked out and get ahead. We used to make drones, and we used to do our own pods and optics until the industry got to a place where it could handle it. So we understand long range planning. I think what makes us unique, and that's why I like working with you, Matt, and companies like yours, but Landus is special in many ways, because you have a short term and a long term mentality about this, and you understand things. Like, I've watched ag tech long enough. I've been at Syngenta, I've been at Southern States Cooperative. Those experiences are more important than my college education. Right? Those experiences formed me. It gave me the right questions. It gave me the right experience. And what it taught me is how technology, for the sake of technology, is not the answer. And a lot of people brought software or other tech in, cutting out a middleman. The obituaries for retail and co-ops were written prematurely. And they didn't understand what you understand, what we see now, that as tech gets adopted and used, we have to get to the next level. We have to keep doing more with less. We have to keep growing. And we took an approach that says, how do we just make the value chain work better? Why don't we cut out the inefficiencies? Why don't we bring people together? Why don't we power up the advisor-grower relationship and put everything into it? So that's where I can't wait to see what Taranis and Landus can do together 3 years from now, when we talk about something that, like you said, people say can't be done today. It's amazing. The rate of change is absolutely amazing. But for Iowa, and maybe it's not just Iowa, maybe you want to hit on that. What Landus is doing in your vision and what your company is doing, the rate of change that you're embarking upon, it's not precedented, is it, Matt?
Well, it's not, that's where, really being focused on something different and acknowledging that, we're probably a right fit for, half to 2/3 of the farmers, not all of them. Some have different visions of what the future looks like. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying we're going down a road that we believe is doable, and it's showing every day. The P&L shows it. And that's where our Growth Solution Center, where a farmer can call, 13, 14 hours a day, and they're not allowed to hang up until we've answered their questions, gotten their grain order, taken an agronomy order. It's one call, answers, and solutions provided. And they open up probably about 6:30 in the morning and go well into the evening, 8, 9, even 10 o'clock at night. And I think if a farmer wanted to call at midnight, they'd probably get a call back in a few minutes thereafter. And I'm proud of that team for that, because it allows us to go into other markets. And, we've got a good book of business now in Illinois and Nebraska. We've had a good book in Minnesota. And it's those farmers that really see what we're doing with Landworks and growers, the Growth Solution Center, and want to go out a different way and try something, because there is the right definition of insanity, and we're living it in a lot of aspects here in agriculture. And it's time for an ag retailer to stand up, and several others have, and we endorse them, and saying there is a better way. It's not easy. It's got a lot of pain to it, but we're not going to do a let's meet in the middle of a cornfield, roll back some ears, and eat some pork chops and pie. Let's go talk about technology and where it's at, where it's going. Let's get you in front of people like Taranis, and NASA, and TerraClear, and many others through our Landworks relationship, to make sure that we're getting the right feedback from the farmers and really pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and making sure that farmer is staying informed on that, right? And that's the piece a lot of the farmers aren't grasping is, there's a path here where we've got to be showcasing this to them. It's not about field days and plot tours. It's about, where is this puck going, and how fast will it get there, and what do they need out of it? What needs change to make that successful? And so, I beg of your farmer listeners and our peers on the ag retail side, it's all of our jobs to push those boundaries, and it's the collaboration of all smart minds that can come together and really drive the success. And I think there's no better place to drive success than at ag retail, particularly a cooperative that's owned by farmers. But we have a lot to show. At least we do at Landus, and we've got a mile to go through what we do at Landworks, what we do at Growth Solution Center, and what we do in our innovation connector, and bringing many, almost 1,000 farmers a year through there, showing them and showing our legislators, showing community leaders, showing just citizens of communities what agriculture is doing, and starting to bridge that gap to the consumer and raise the confidence that they should have in what agriculture is doing today and what we'll be doing in the future.
It's really exciting, and it's a good reminder of just all the things a co-op can actually bring: the influence of legislatures, the influence in the value chain and industry, showing the good work, showing the things that we do. We do have to advocate and tell our story. I will say, for our listeners and viewers, they are familiar with your Growth Solutions line. We had Jamie Orr on, and we dialed it live. And the response is amazing. People want that kind of response. As you know, we build our web apps and our Connect apps, have all the data, have all the visuals of a farm, so you can engage all the time. And your grow folks are aware of that. They're talking about it. They're knowledgeable. And I hear you say Nebraska, Minnesota, Illinois, Iowa, other places. You're really trying to meet a need differently, and something that matches 2023, 2024, 2025. You're just doing it differently. And you mentioned something called an innovation center. So for people listening that don't know what you're talking about, what does that mean at Landus? What do you mean about innovation center, thousands of people? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, so we've got, about, I'd say it's at least right around half of our facility in Des Moines is a big open area. You all are in it, of course, Mike, that showcases current and future technologies, most of which farmers would have very little, if any, exposure to at the time they come in. So we're really trying to showcase, where the puck's going and what that time frame looks like, and letting them talk directly to you and your staff about what Tyrannus is, and get on a list to get another call from the Growth Solution Center or you all direct and learn more about it. It's just really, it's an eye-opening experience to see our farmers come in, and I love those that want to resist it because it's Des Moines or because it's Landus, but in the end, it's an opportunity for farmers in a controlled environment that's all rain or shine. The innovation connector's open, and they can come in and touch and hear and see what's going on, and be able to really relate that back to their operation. And what's really powerful is when they bring that son or daughter with them, or even we've had one meeting, we had 4 generations there at the event. The youngest generation was really more interested in our coloring books, but that's the power of something like that, showcasing where it's at, where it can go. And what blows my mind is the number of farmers that reach out to folks like Tyrannus directly there and say, hey, call me tomorrow or next week. I'd like to visit about an idea I've had. And that's why we started LandWorks, to really give our farmers a format to be at the center of innovation and what really need that, solving real farmer problems, not coming up with a great idea and looking for a problem. This is reversing that script and taking the theatrical display of innovation out of it and going, here's what farmers have said. Honestly, the health insurance came out of LandWorks. We had no path, no solution. And the head guy for DefenseWorks, which is where LandWorks is under, was at one of the events, one of the innovation connectors, heard me talk about the feedback and that I don't have a lot of good things to report, but we're going to keep working on it. And 24 hours later, less than 24 hours later, I'm on a phone call with somebody that's been working on this and has some thoughts, has some solutions. So it's just powerful to see when those farmers really connect. And what's amazing is there's probably 20 to 30 different things in the connector, and it's an even balance. Some like this stuff, some like that stuff, some need this, some resonate with this and not that. It's their connector. It's our job to fill it through LandWorks and really push the boundaries of what's possible, and see their faces light up or their dismay of that kind of technology. We get it all, and it's absolutely okay. We've had See and Spray in there from John Deere, which is becoming more and more known, but getting farmers to actually see that and hear from folks like Van Wall and John Deere on it, powerful day. So hopefully that helps, Mike, on what that is.
No, it really does. And I think what's nice is co-ops are known like for resourcing, but you're resourcing information and you've turned it into a two-way street, and you're bringing the trade shows and the value chain to them on their terms, and you're creating an interaction. For people who don't know, and I've heard you talk about it, and it's a very interesting concept. How did this DefenseWorks, LandWorks thing get started? Like, what's really going on there? What does that mean? If I'm not in your trade region hearing this, what is Landus doing with LandWorks? How did that come about? What is that?
Yeah, so a friend of mine actually connected me with SoftWorks, which is Special Operation Forces. That is also one of the sisters to LandWorks under DefenseWorks, and we were doing a tour of it with some farmers that were in the Tampa area, and we're really having a neat visit. And we had toured it before just as Landus, and that didn't hit on a lot of buttons. But the chief technology officer of DefenseWorks was given the tour this time, and was just super passionate, and how the war fighter is very much in his mind like the farmer.
Yep.
I'm sitting there going, God, I don't see a connection at all. And then he starts talking about what foreign ownership of land means to our national security. He starts talking about wars are fought over food and fuel and energy. And then you start going, okay, well, this is getting a little more making sense. And then he starts talking about the things they've been working on and solving, that we're 20 years back, if even in 20-year gap, that they can close that gap in a matter of seconds. So the story of DefenseWorks is kind of interesting. I'll tell it as fast as I can. But one of the head Navy SEAL officers lost a soldier, a Navy SEAL, in battle. This was many years ago. I don't know if it's 10, 12, 15 years ago. And he made the statement, that'll never happen again on my watch. We can do better. We can protect them better. And so he went and wanted basically this Iron Man suit, which we all kind of know what that is.
That's pretty cool.
And the traditional government route says, yeah, it'll take X millions and Y months, and actually Y years. And he goes, great. You got a fourth of that money, and you've got 6 months to get it done. Get it back to my desk in 6 months. And so they came back and go, here's what's going to take to do it, but it's doable. And that was how DefenseWorks was really born, is a 501c3 that can kind of cut through some of the government red tape, speeds things along, get some access. They've got the largest inventor ecosystem globally of over 134,000 inventors globally. They get access to public and private monies that's way beyond any single company in agriculture anyway. And they couldn't be happier to have agriculture. We're kind of the first non-government, so to speak, tied group. But being an ag and the ties to what wars are fought over, and it's been so enlightening, and how they use satellites and drones and technology and data and AI, so similar to what we need in agriculture. So
Yep.
They've introduced us to great companies. Taranis, we had the relationship obviously before DefenseWorks, but many others that have come along, and our farmers got to experience one of them that I'm not probably going to talk about on this, but
Sure.
Those that were at the Innovation Connector here this summer got to see some really cool stuff where it's going. And obviously Taranis is a part of those discussions as well. And that's what life is about, right? Yes, we got to do the core blocking and tackling, but more importantly, we've got to lead agriculture and farmers into that future and connect them to the consumer of tomorrow. So, Landworks under DefenseWorks is just a great opportunity to do that, and a powerful way to speed up innovation, take the theatrics out of it, and really drive success with that ecosystem that's bigger than anything that's out there today in the whole world.
Sounds like a huge, just intellectual organization to protect and promote and drive technology with the co-op mindset. But through that vehicle, it's really, really interesting. Our history, our founders, many of them obviously came out of the Israeli defenses and, intelligence type organizations. And it's the same thing. If you can move really fast at high altitudes and target and see where something is, why can't you do that with plants and insects and defoliation? Well, you can, and we're doing that. We do that with satellites. We do it with drones. We do it with planes. That's what we do in Brazil. And it's amazing. And now I hear you saying that. You're right. I mean, look at. I heard somebody saying that China has 20% of the world's population today, but only 7% of the arable land. And so there's a way to protect our security, respect everything, but make sure that we don't want a lot of hungry people in the world in general, and definitely not those that they need this and they need this technology. And I think we can do better. So there's so many roads. I think to me, it's normal to hear you talk about military and government and the innovations coming in, or even NASA to solve an ag problem. But that's not normal for most ears. And it certainly hasn't been for the last history. So I think a lot more people are paying attention to what we're doing. There's a lot more people interested in the world and in the value chain or in our communities that actually care that we're doing things the right way. And that we are doing things in a way that's going to keep putting food on the table, right, and keep that supply moving and do it so in a good way. What do you think? What's something that excites you right now? This is just kind of out of thin air. Like, as you think about all this big stuff we're talking about and all the things that you're doing, what's caught your eye right now? What are you excited about now in October in Iowa? Just thinking about these things. What's top of mind? What's exciting?
I think right now it feels like we are on the cusp of something really great on the data piece, right? How do we take the data that Taranis is giving the farmer, that the equipment company is giving, the grain handling, the livestock? How do we create a system where that farmer can have that data stored, sorted, compiled in a neutral platform that is readable by all, and drive that. And we've been fighting this for years now. You know that better than I, Mike. And I think there's a solution on the horizon coming. Some would argue that there is that today, and I think that's a true statement, but it's not a simplistic one that is available today. So I'm really excited about some of the discussions. You all are at that table with us, of course, talking with this group of people led by one particular company that I think is going to really turn on the power of data, finally connecting that farmer to the consumer, turning on the power of AI, and really analytics looking forward to where I can sit this December and use a sliding scale of fertilizer rates, of different seed types, of weather patterns, and come up with what's best for me as a farmer on this farm and that farm and the other farm, and really hone in on all this data they've got and just don't know what to do with. I think there's something coming here, and we're going to start showcasing it at our winter meetings with those farmers that engage in that. We'll have a big rollout of it at the Innovation Connector in March, late March, early April, and that's where I'm really excited about. I think that piece has been a thorn in agriculture side, and LandWorks, DefenseWorks has truly opened up the door to, they're like, yeah, we used to have this too. I think their exact phrases. I remember when we grew up once too, and it was wonderful. And here's how you do it. And it was like, oh, that seems pretty powerful. And it won't be an easy journey, but heck, in something like an F-16, the number of different technology companies is astronomical. So we can do it with different equipment companies, different grain handling systems, different systems for livestock on down the line. It's absolutely doable. We just got to get the right minds looking at this and really changing the game like they've done in the military so eloquently, to your point.
I think people just need to understand and see benefits and understand the trade-offs, but the true benefit of being able to plan better, being able to make better decisions to push that farm to the next level, to make sure that we're taking better care of what we have, and that we're in the driver's seat to do that. And this data, okay, you want to be the pilot of your F-16? Let us put the tech around you so you can be the pilot on your farm. Let us help you. Let's get you where you need to go. So that way you're not worried about all these things. What you're worried about is getting that plane where it needs to go and basically accomplishing your mission. And the mission for a farm is, yes, a good return on investment, profitable yield, and good stewardship. And I think we're there. I think a lot of what you're saying, we see it too. We know the value. You say, oh, you do a stand count. It's not about replant all the time. It's about resource allocation. It's about how that hybrid performs. All the tech, the biology, the chemistry, the treatment, was that the right decision? Is there a better way? Is there a way to do it differently? Just the amount of information we have and the visuals and what we're doing with it. And then I think the things you're doing, I look forward to learning and doing more. We can actually start improving this. We'll make sabermetrics look like nothing when we have this kind of capability in farming, right? You want to talk about Moneyball? Like, let's go. This is Money Farm. Like, we're ready to hit this.
But it is like Moneyball, right? Everyone uses that movie, but it's a great one because that truly changed baseball forever. And those that are winning today are taking that they learned kind of through the Moneyball story and have advanced it beyond there. And the difference between what they do to fight for our freedom and what our farmers do to feed and fuel that world, that line is graying by the hour. And it's important for us to understand that the people we might think as the traditional players in this game aren't the traditional players. It's folks that are helping take those 50, 20, 10, whatever it is, different technologies in an F-16 and making it all talk and getting that data and analyzing it. And in a split second, coming back with another analysis of another path, of another way. I don't think we'll get there in the next couple of years, but we'll start being much more apt to help that farmer really look at their farm. I'm concerned about what the farmer's going to hear and see. And I'm not sure they're going to like some of that information of what may be the right rates, what may be the right products. But that's not for me to decide. It's the ag retail or Landus co-op's job to provide that and let them decide what they want to do. And And I think part of that, Mike, is why we haven't been too quick to do it in agriculture, because maybe somebody that's got the mind share and market share might be a little more apt to not want that than what could be coming, based on, acre by acre, field by field, or, operation by operation. So the future is bright for our farmers, and it's all the rest of our jobs, particularly the job of the ag retailer, the trusted advisor of that farmer, to help guide that and make this come to life for them. Our farmers across the United States and across the globe deserve this, and it's time for us to take action and go through the headaches and stop worrying about Wall Street and worrying about Main Street in rural America, and the farmers that live it, and help those communities live.
And well, that's what's great about the age we live in, is we can do it, right? And I think there's different kinds of people in the world. There are people who want to ride the wave, and that'll get you to a place. It's what you can do. And there are people who have the energy and the capability to make the waves and move. And I know that that's where we are as Taranis. I see your energy and your passion. We may not always be right about a specific thing, but the direction and the trend is in front of us, and we're going to make that together. And I invite anybody who listens to this to start working in this manner, to think this way, because you're right. I don't want to get a physical, because I know what the doctor's going to tell me I can't eat and what I can't do. But my goal is to live longer and be happier. So then I'm going to make those changes. I think that's where we need to be. We need to think a little bit differently about, what is your goal? If it's comfort and status quo, I'm going to tell you this: Taranis and AcreForward, it's for winners. It's for those who want to move. Same thing you say about Landus. And I think that's the attitude that's going to grow this. And yes, some will benefit. They'll ride the wave. But I want to be with companies, and I want to be with partners that create the wave. And that's why I appreciate the partnership. I think, I'm coming up on time here, and I know that, and I really respect you given this amount of time for us. But I want to make sure that, our listeners and viewers know where to check you out, what to do, what to look at. I'm sure they're going to want to hear more. It's a very interesting conversation with the future of ag. So if our listeners and viewers want to learn more about you and Landus, what do they need to do?
Yeah, most importantly, they need to learn about Landus and the actual employees that make it happen. They don't want to know about me, but landus.ag is the website that they can go to. Or if they want to learn more about Landworks, they can go to landworks.org. That's LANDWERX.org. And they can get some more details, and they can become part of the Landworks system there, and get updates and progress, and maybe even be a part of some pilots as needed, and that from a Landworks standpoint. So both of those are great places. And the other place I've heard, you already mentioned it, calling the Growth Solution Center. The Growth Solution Center would prefer me to say, preferably if they don't call between like 9 at night and 5 in the morning, but 515-800 GROW. 515-800-GROW is the phone number, and there will be a live person that will answer. And as you already demonstrated with Jamie, talk them through whatever questions, opportunities, concerns. They can get a hold of me through that group as well, whatever works best for them.
515-800-GROW, 515-800-GROW, or Landus, that's US.ag. You'll get where you want to go. Obviously, they can check our show notes. They can check us out at AcreForward.com. We pair you with the best advisors, our partners like Landus. And you hear today just the passion from Matt Carstens, who's leading Landus. Lots of great employees. I will tell you that. I've met many of the Landus employees. We love the partnership. We think there's something great, but it's hard not to get excited having a conversation with you, Matt, about the future of ag and about what you're doing here. And I want to express my thanks for the partnership, but also for taking the time to talk to our listeners and our viewers and being part of the podcast today.
Well, Mike, thank you. The pleasure was all mine. And you and your team are phenomenal. For your listeners, if they haven't given Taranis a try, they should. Feel free to call the Growth Solution Center, and we can help get them tied into your system as well. So we're willing to do anything and everything to help expand what you do with AcreForward and continue that momentum. So thanks for all you all do, and thanks for the opportunity to visit with your listeners.
That's great. So you heard it here, 515-800-GROW. Tell them Matt Carstens sent you to ask about Taranis and AcreForward, and they're going to help you at Landus make your land work for you through land works and also help you advance that AcreForward. Thanks for joining us today on this segment of the AcreForward podcast. Come check us out at acreforwardpodcast.com.